Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a second interview with Amy Tangel. About 2 years ago, we sat down and talked about her book, Hello Sunshine, and since then, she's been up to amazing things. And I just want to get into how has the last couple years gone for you, Amy?
Well, it has been amazing. And thank you for having me on again. I'm so excited to talk to you today. It was so much fun the last time as well. But since we last talked with Hello Sunshine, I believe it had just released. And it was, in the middle of the beginning of everything shutting down. Hello Sunshine is grown very nice over the past couple of years, considering what everybody's had to work with. As far as, in-person events and book signings and all that stuff is just coming back now. But what I'm looking forward to in 2022 with Hello Sunshine is releasing it on Audible for the first time. So I am in the process of developing that now. And hopefully sometime within the next, 4 to 6 months, it'll be available on Audible.
That's amazing. What goes into getting a book on Audible?
I'm not really sure of the whole process yet. I've just began to research it. It's just became available to me recently. So I'm learning as I go. But with Kindle Direct Publishing, they're just fantastic with providing you with the resources to walk you along every step of the way. And they even have, services where people can take care of all the backleg work for you. So I'm exploring all my options, and then I'll just choose whichever works best for me in the time that I have to make the quality of it come out just right.
Nice. So, in the last couple of years, what else have you been up to?
Well, I completed a play that I had been working on for almost 11 years now called 2 Cents. It is been picked up by a director. Her name is Angie Christic. She's an artistic director in New York, and she is fantastic. I'm so excited to finally bring this play to fruition. Having been a lifelong theater member performing since the age of 5 and playwriting since junior high school, it's been my life's work dream come true to be in this moment right now. I just had my first meeting of the actors who are currently cast this past Sunday, and we had an informal read-through, which was surreal, exciting, thrilling, wonderful, all of those things that I've ever imagined with all my life's work, upstate, and the work that I've done in the city over the past, 15 years now. I've been doing theater work, from time to time in the city. So it's all coming together. It's very exciting. So the play is going to start out in the next couple of months with a couple staged readings with an audience, a very small theater, very intimate. And it's exciting because it's going to be the first time the public has a view of the production. And, it's like a preview showcase, for other producers or anybody else artistically who would like to come on board with the production as it moves along. So everything is full steam ahead at this point. It's the wheels are fully in motion.
So, what was your inspiration to write this play?
Well, it's actually a very interesting story. It is loosely based on a real event that happened to me. I believe it was 2009, maybe 2010. I was in New Orleans attending the Tennessee Williams Literary Festival, taking master classes, and it was raining every day I was there. And on this particular day, at the end, it was the first sunny day. So I decided to just walk around and spend some time exploring the city, as I hadn't had a chance to do that before. And I came upon a bakery, and there was a young man standing outside, and he asked me for 2 cents. And, initially, I'm from New York, but something about this person and him asking me for 2 cents, I immediately had to engage in conversation with him and find out more. So I said 2 cents, and he said, yeah, 2 cents. And I said, I'm sorry, I have to ask you why 2 cents. And he said, well, I'm hoping if enough people give me 2 cents, I'll be able to afford a cup of coffee at the end of the day. And then I had to go further into it. And I asked him what his name was. And he said his name was Todd. And I introduced myself. And I just had to ask him because he did not look like, first of all, he had a Marines hat on, a U.S. Marines hat on, and t-shirt and jeans. So initially something told me that this guy was a veteran and there was something wrong. And so I asked him, why he was here. How did he get there? And, I said, I don't have any cash on me, but I'd love to buy you something to eat and a cup of coffee, which, he did accept my gesture. And we went to this bakery, Antoine's Bakery, and I bought him a cup of coffee and something to eat. And we sat and talked, and it turned out he is a veteran, and he was suffering really badly from PTSD. He had made a lot of bad choices before and after, from what he had told me. Moved to New Orleans with love of a girl, and that did not work out. And he became homeless, and he became lost, and he had falling out with his father. So he had hearing loss in his left ear from grenades and explosions. He had lost loved ones. He had really, really severe case of PTSD, among other things. In that exact moment, after our meeting was over, I went back to my bed and breakfast, and I wrote it as a short story. And I knew right then and there that it was going to become a play. And that was 11 years ago. I just knew right then and there. So over the course of time, it was a lot of work, a lot of writing, periods of time putting the pen down. So that was the inspiration for the play. Of course, Todd is one of the main characters of the play. So I'm really excited for everybody to hear the story. And there's also a lot of fiction mixed in with it too, and the dramatic twists and turns for people to look forward to.
Yeah, it's a very clever story. You sent it to me, and at first I thought it was based on the true story, and as I'm reading, and you mentioned the fiction parts, I wasn't sure. So it really made me think, and I was guessing what was going to happen, and at some points I thought I was right, and then I was like, no, this is not going to. And then the way it turns out is just a fantastic ending. And what? All right, so you've now written a children's book, a short novel, and a play. What is the difference when writing these three different styles of literature?
Well, there's a lot of differences. I mean, the story is still the same. You still have your plot, you still have your conflict, you still have all the same emotional pieces, but they're geared towards different audiences based on the topic. So for children's books, I love writing children's books because there is no limit to the imagination with children's stories. I mean, you can have a horse and a rabbit be a best friend, and it's perfectly acceptable, and they can talk to each other, and which is the premise for my second children's book that I actually wrote as a child, and went back as an adult and rewrote it to publish. Hopefully that's on my list for the next year as well.
Fascinating.
But that's children's stories. The Hello Sunshine was a memoir. So that was all nonfiction. That was complete truth. That was very, a cathartic experience. And that was also written with the intention to help others in their caregiving journey or their grief process, to hopefully give them inspiration to keep going and, hold strong everything that they're feeling as caregivers, whether it's, sadness or anger or frustration or, even relief when a loved one passes away after a really hard battle, that those are all normal feelings. And being a caregiver is it's just so much a part of younger people's lives now than it ever was before for various reasons. So, my goal with Hello Sunshine is still to have it available in hospitals, to have it available to cancer support groups, and not just cancer, anybody who's a caregiver, a universal theme. That was that writing process. 2 Cents, that was first nature to me. I was writing plays, at the same time as I was writing short stories as a child. It was just something that came natural to me. There's the dialogue is really with the plays, writing the plays, the difference is the dialogues. So, writing techniques that apply to paragraphs and children's stories are different. There's a lot of different writing techniques for playwriting.
Now, in getting a play published, or I'm not sure if that's the correct term or not, but how is that different from, getting a novel or a children's book published? Is it is it harder, or, I mean, who do you go to for something like that?
Well, the difference between a book being published as a play being written and produced is with the play, the play is copywritten. So I have complete ownership of the play, all of its rights, anything that goes along with it. So you go through the Library of Congress for that, and you go through the steps that they require for manuscripts to be copywritten. So that protects you in anything that you do with the play going forward. And then from then it's generally just getting it produced and doing all like the real hands-on theater work to bring it to life. Now with a book, you get it published and then you sell it in bookstores or online or at events. That's really the difference with that, is the way that it is published is between a publishing house and then plays are copywritten. I mean, you could publish your play as a book, and they do become published as books, but you don't need it to be published as a book to have it produced.
Okay. And all right, so now moving on from the writing and publishing or copywriting part to the performance part. Do you have to sell it to a director, or what's the steps to go through?
You have to find somebody's interest. So that was where Angie came in. She read my play. She loved it immediately. I researched her background and her, accomplishments and all her her credits, to her name and the work that she's done. And beyond that, we just had an instant connection. She got the play, she got my vision. And that's really how it started. It really is an organic process when it comes to having a play produced. It's just about timing. It's about finding the right person and going from there. And it depends on where you're at as a playwright. This is my first full production. So it's really a grassroots project, which is amazing that I get to be a part of the process from beginning to end. Some playwrights get to a point in their career where they'll have their plays will be produced all over and they'll have nothing to do with these productions of their play once it grows to a certain point. So it's so exciting for me right now as a playwright to be working with such an amazing director side by side and building it from the ground up.
Okay. Do you have any input in the casting, or was that just something that...
No, I do have input in the casting. She's the casting director. That's her specialty as an artistic director, which she loves that. And she will present actors to me and ask me what I think, if I would like to see them read, and then we go from there.
Interesting. So is there a schedule when the play will be performed, or what's the process going on with that?
Well, right now, we just had the informal read through. We're still trying to finalize the casting process with a few roles. So once that's completed, well, hand in hand, kind of, we're actively looking for a space to have the staged readings with an audience. That's going to happen hopefully in the next month or two. And we have a few places that are available and potential candidates for us. So it's just a matter of deciding which works best, when we want to do the reading, and scheduling of everybody. Scheduling is a huge part of the process when you're trying to coordinate so many people at once. So that's where a lot of time comes in.
It sounds like a very intensive process right now, and
yes,
I can imagine. Obviously, we both live in New York, so we both know what's going on at the time. But I can imagine that the current situations are also affecting that a little.
Yeah, slowing down the process a little bit, but you know what? I'm just focused on the time has finally come to be able to do this and all the good that's ahead. And I'm just leaving the past where it is and just trying to continue to turn lemons into lemonade the best that I can. And I'm surrounded by such great people who are so supportive and so positive and so dedicated to the work and the art and making all of this happen. And, you know, everybody coming back to life, you know?
Yep. What other, uh, tell us a little bit about your website that you've been working on as well.
Well, the humanintereststory.com is another huge blessing in my life as far as my writing career is concerned. When the pandemic hit, I, of course, you know, really had nothing to do with myself as an artist or a creator at the time. And the humanintereststory.com really was something that I had wanted to do for a very long time. I had wanted to create a publication where myself and other fellow journalists could freelance write stories that they were interested in that couldn't make it in the newspaper because there was no room in there for stories like this. These human interest people stories of people doing amazing things, shining inspirations, overcoming adversity, and their stories deserve to be told. So I started the Human Interest Story in the beginning of the pandemic, and with the intention of to spread some positive stories and some uplifting stories when people needed it more than ever. And it just took on a life of its own. And here we are today, almost 2 years. It'll be the 2-year anniversary this spring.
Fantastic. Any other projects that you'll be working on in the coming future?
Well, right now I have my hands full. So, you know, I'm always going to have a project going. That's just who I am. They just, as inspiration comes to me, you know, I explore every avenue. But right now for 2022, the play is my top priority, the human interest story. And, you know, with my books, continuing to move forward with the books that I have published. In fact, Buster's Backpack Adventure, my first children's book, is going to be released on hardcover for the first time ever sometime this year. So, which is probably going to be sooner than later. I just have to work on a couple details of creating a new cover for the new edition. And we'll be seeing it in hardcover very soon.
It's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
One last thing before we get going. You mentioned when you were writing the play, Todd, the main character.
Mm-hmm.
Have you kept in touch? Do you know anything about his life post your meeting, or was it just a
no?
thing?
No. You know, this was when Todd and I met. It was before social media really came into people's lives. It was right there at that time. So, you know, we went our separate ways that day. I never even got his last name, but I do know that he did. We had a conversation and he did make amends with his father, and he was actually going home that following Monday back to Florida. So, you know, at least it was a beautiful moment in the fact that, you know, we had this meeting, there was some compassion, there was some kindness. It was definitely a life-changing moment for me. But then just to know that at least he was going home was the best ending I could have asked for in our real meeting. Yeah.
Yes, PTSD is, you can't even describe if you haven't been through it, and I personally haven't. So if anybody out there is struggling, I will include a link in the description on who you can call or contact if you need help. And it's just seek the help you need.
Yeah, that's one thing I want to say about the play before we close is, you know, all the actors who have read the play, anybody who has read the play, the common theme that is emerging, which is something that was, you know, in my heart with intention of the play from the beginning, was that it's a universal story. It's a universal message with 2 cents. It's a play that everybody can relate to on one level or another. So I hope my intention of all is for this play to help people, to bring people together, to bring more awareness. You know, there's a lot of veterans who are suffering out there. And, you know, even if they, you know, didn't make good decisions along the way, our veterans should never be on the streets.
Yes, that is absolutely 100%. The most important thing is taking care of our veterans, and you know, any way you can get help, please contact somebody. And like I said, I'll leave a number and a website in the description. So, anyway, Amy, I thank you for your time, and good luck with everything.
Thank you so much.
In the coming weeks and months, and we hope to get in touch with you again.
Yes, looking forward to it.
This has been part 2, interview with Amy Tangel, and thanks for watching. After our interview concluded, Amy sent me a message. She had gotten information during our interview about her website. The human interest story broke records with the story of Ivy Supersonic Silverstein and her 20-year-long battle over copyright over the character of Scrap from the Ice Age franchise. The character she claims to have created and was stolen from her years ago by Fox and Blue Sky Studios. She was awarded principal copyright in 2022, A Story of Never Giving Up. Amy says she was the first to get the exclusive interview with her back in January when the most recent Ice Age movie was released, minus Scrat, and the story broke. This, the human interest story, reached over 20,000 views, and articles were sourced in other publications from all over the world. So congratulations to Amy on that, and hopefully continued success with her website and her other projects to come.